Hey, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of Your Marketing Strategy Elevated. This is a new podcast and YouTube show that is dedicated to transforming your business through powerful digital marketing insights, ideas, strategies, and so much more. I'm your host, Sandy Waggett. I'm the founder of MSW Interactive Designs, and we are celebrating 25 years of, I'm going to say digital marketing excellence, but a lot of hard lessons learned too over 25 years. But we have got some great ideas to share, so much experience to share. It's ridiculous. And so I thought, what better way than to just start a YouTube show and podcast and put it out there, right? Because we're all growing, our field's constantly changing, and I'm a small business owner too. So all of these things, I go through the trials and tribulations just like you. For this inaugural episode, I couldn't think of a better way to start than by sharing the last marketing and AI mastery webinar that I did. So that was on January 11th, 2024. I conducted my second marketing and AI mastery webinar, and it was really an eye opening session where we, and by we, a group of other small business owners, some clients, some not, explored the incredible world of AI and specifically ChatGPT in this session and the fact that it can have a truly revolutionary impact on our businesses. We looked at analyzing marketing strategies and streamlining HR processes, understanding financial trends in our businesses. We talked it all, really. What better way to kick off this first episode than to share some of these insights? We literally laid out a plan of how you can use ChatGPT right now to start leveraging AI in your business. Everything from marketing, because that's what this show's about, but to other things too, that as business owners, we all deal with. I actually give you a way to get started. Without further ado, let's just dive right into some clips from that webinar, and then I will see you at the end. Just a couple opening things while I'm waiting. I do want this to be interactive. This is going to be very different than what we did last month, if you were on the call last month, because last month was just a high level overview, giving you some ideas around what the capabilities of AI could be for your business. This time, what I want to do is go specifically into the ChatGPT application. And I'm starting with this one, and we'll do other applications on future calls, but I want to do ChatGPT first because it's the most known by the most people. And there is a free version. You guys can get on and play with it without it costing you anything. But I, just like I did last month, I'm going to encourage you to upgrade to the paid version just so you can take advantage of some of the additional features that are available in it. But what I'm going to do today is actually dive into, and I know in the marketing stuff, I said 15 specific use cases, but I actually have more than that. And I do want you all to unmute yourselves because I want to be able to stop and interact. And if you guys have questions or you want to try something, so we're actually going to do a lot of this stuff in real time. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know what ChatGPT is going to come back with, so it could be fun. But I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and I'm going to try really hard to watch the waiting room at this point. But if people come in and I'm just because I tend to get really focused when I dive into this stuff, I'll let them in. If not, they'll have to watch the recording. And I have got my team on here. Mark is going to send me information. If you guys ask a question in the chat, you can do that, or you can actually just ask it out loud. But if you do it in the chat, he's going to be watching that for me because I can't watch it all and still do the webinar. And he'll send that to me and I'll try to address those in real time. And this time I'm keeping my phone on. And the reason I'm keeping my phone on is so I can hear the notifications if he texts me. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll dive right in. Okay. So, what I did to set up for this is, well, so I can hear somebody's background noise. So, go ahead and mute yourself if you have some background noise going on. The approach I wanted to take for this is to start with a clean ChatGPT account. And so I actually set up a second account because we as an agency use this technology for what we do. But I wanted to set up a separate account that was specifically for me as the business owner. And then model for you guys how you could potentially set this up and utilize it in your own business. So when I started, I went and set up a clean account. I literally just did it this morning. So I signed into ChatGPT under a different email. I purchased the upgrade and hold on, someone just came in the room. There we go. Hold on. I'm just going to let them in really quick and then I'll continue. Sorry for that interruption. Purchased the upgrade and then I went and did some of the customizations, just like I showed you last month. So I'm going to show you how I did that differently now than how I did it for my team account. Because for my team account, if you recall, I trained it on the fact that we use the story brand approach in our writing, the language and the tone that we want things written in, all of that. Now, this is going to be different from a business owner standpoint or a management standpoint of the business. So I'm just going to come over here to the lower left and show you under custom instructions what I did. And you can take pictures or screen grab this if you'd like. So recall from last month with these custom instructions, you can tell ChatGPT what that you want them to know to provide a better response. So since this is a business operations account, I said we are a digital marketing agency with a consultative model. So what is it for you in your business? Here's what we specialize in. So I outlined that. And then I shared our goals. So my goal is to take the agency from approximately a $1 million agency to a $10 million agency in 5 years. That's our big, hairy goal, if you will. So this ChatGPT account is for internal business management. So I wanted it to know that. And then down here where it says, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? I'm like, please be professional, but respond like a human would. I prefer robust and thorough responses with more detail than less. And I want the more thorough and robust responses because I'm going to be asking it, just being my coach, my business consultant. So I want more detailed responses from ChatGPT when I'm using this particular aspect of it. So you can address me as Sandy. You can absolutely have opinions because I want it to formulate opinions around some of the data that I provide. And by the way, what I put in here was a lot of my own stuff, but it also had prompts. When you do this for the first time, it actually said, do you want me to come with opinions or you want me to just stick to the facts? And so I said, you can absolutely have opinions. And then your purpose is to serve as my business coach and help me achieve my goals for this agency, MSW Interactive Design. So super simple custom instructions to start. That way I'm guiding it so that it knows how to respond when I'm asking it questions about managing my agency. Now, keep in mind, as you start using it for your business, you can go in and you can modify these custom instructions. And if you weren't on the call last month, you should know that custom instructions are intended to apply to everything that happens in the account. It's going to take these so you don't have to repeat yourself every time. Normally, before they had custom instructions, you would have to go in to every thread and tell it what tone you wanted it to use, if you wanted it to formulate an opinion, how you wanted it to respond, all that stuff. Custom instructions is essentially a global setting for your ChatGPT account. Now, what I did after that is I started my very first thread. Now, remember from last month that down on the left-hand side, these are all threads that you have, and you can go back to the thread and ChatGPT remembers what happened in the thread. Now, there's a limit on the data where it starts to hallucinate. And when that happens, you can just start a new thread. But it takes a while. And you can actually, and I showed a technique last month where you can reprompt it if it starts hallucinating. You can stay in the same thread and you can say, remember this format that we used. And then it'll go back and it'll say, yes, I remember. And once it comes back and says, yes, I remember, then it'll start to pick up again along what you wanted it to do. So my very first thread that I started was business ideation. So I'm going to give you at least 15 threads, probably more today. So I would suggest that you write them down because these are threads that you start in your own ChatGPT account. And in my opinion, the reason that you want to have individual threads for different topics and areas of your business is because you're going to want the kind of data and the kind of results to be different based on the kind of questions and analysis that you need. So business ideation is essentially me saying, okay, this is my idea place. So I'm just going to throw stuff out there, see what sticks. If I'm going to do some brainstorming around the business, all this stuff, I'm going to do it in this thread. So I said, okay, this will be my business ideation thread. And I started it like that because ChatGPT automatically names your threads. Now you can change the name of the thread by clicking on the dots here. So if I didn't want it to be business ideation, I could go to rename it and change the name. I made a simple opening so that it will name it business ideation. So I'm like, okay, I have to do this webinar this morning. And here's my plan. I gave it my plan. I said, I want to come up with 15 ideas. I prompted it along what I was thinking, business applications for ChatGPT, because I use it every single day, multiple times a day in my business. So I just separating it and I'm prepping it over on this new account. And it said, great, that sounds like a good plan. And it said, here's some thoughts. So it just started giving me some thoughts about what to talk to you guys about. It really wasn't what I was asking, my fault, because I really didn't ask it for what I wanted. So I went down here and I said, that's great. What are your ideas for 15 threads that we should set up to accomplish my objective? My objective is to give you 15 threads for your business that you can set up and start in ChatGPT. Not that you have to use them all right away, but set up these 15 threads to start training ChatGPT on how to help you and advise you in your business. So here are some that it gave me, and these are great. And we'll go over all of these. I'm scrolling through really fast so you can see what it came up with. And then I'm like, just for fun, give me 5 more. So it did. Wonderful. Let's push the envelope and go for 5 more. So it did. Now, I want you to know I have all of these in a document. So I will give you this document. So don't worry about capturing these here. But I just wanted to show you for ideation purposes how I use it. I have my own ideas, but I wanted to take my thoughts and then give them to ChatGPT and then have it add on, because there's probably some things that haven't occurred to me. One of them specifically is analyzing your supply chain stuff, inventory stuff. That wouldn't occur to me because I'm not in that space. So when I'm presenting to a group, this is super helpful because it helps me ideate around things that I wouldn't necessarily have a thought of. So then I pushed it even more. I'm like, what else are we not thinking of? Again, this is for small business. And then it came up with a whole bunch more. So these are great ideas. I will give them to you all. We're going to talk about a few today. And again, I want to invite you guys to interrupt me at any time. Just unmute yourself if you're on mute and ask questions along the way. Some other things that I have done personally in this area, business ideation and brainstorming, is around ideas for, I'm going to switch over to the marketing hat right now. I had a client that wanted us to help him name his podcast, for example. He had an idea. So I put in his idea and it's really not catchy. And I said, can come up with 10 to 15 different catchy titles, names for this podcast that are clear in what the podcast offers. It came up with 15 of them. I narrowed it down to 2. I'm like, I really like these 2. So let's focus on these 2 and then give me 10 more that are similar to these 2. So that's how we ideated or brainstormed around something that we needed to do for a particular client. So what I want you to do or challenge you to do is think about when you're trying to come up with ideas in your own business, how could you leverage ChatGPT to help you brainstorm? And my approach to it is, okay, I've got 3 or 4 ideas in my mind. I come into ChatGPT and I'm like, okay, I have to come up with this. I've got some ideas of my own and I put them in. I'm like, so what do you think? And give me some other options, give me some other thoughts. And so it does. And it can be around all kinds of things. So that's just one example. So I set up my business ideation thread. I will always come back to this thread when I'm starting to ideate about things to do with the business. The next one, this obviously wasn't in the list that ChatGPT gave me because this is specific to my company. So, the profitable entrepreneur, I set this one up. This is a YouTube show that I am launching this month. We did our first episode with a guest, and it'll be out in a couple days. So, I wanted to start a thread here for this so that all of my stuff around the profitable entrepreneur is in my business account, my business ChatGPT account. And ChatGPT has alignment around my business goals because I've given that in the custom instructions. So now, as I'm talking about topics and using ChatGPT to help me program this YouTube show and podcast, it's going to give me advice that aligns with the growth goals that I have for my company. So hopefully you can see that's where that connection is. I don't have to tell it what my goals are. It knows what my goals are. So now as I'm coming up with topics for the profitable entrepreneur, I come back to this thread and I can engage with ChatGPT. Now, one of the topics that it did have in its list was social media analytics and data. Several of you on this call are clients of ours in the social media space. I wanted to demonstrate this intentionally. As a business owner, forget that we are a marketing agency. As a business owner, I said, here is my social media and analytics thread. And so great. It's good to have a dedicated thread. I said, okay, I use an agency to produce and manage my social media content. It happens to be us because that's what my agency does. I'm the owner of the business. So my time is better spent on other things. My team does the content creation, publishing, and analysis. That said, I need to lead the way in vision and strategy for our goals. So, as the business owner, as the business leader, it's my job to ensure that we're producing content around my business goals. So I happen to be a marketing agency, but we've got Fort Wood Hotels on the call. They're a hotel chain. We manage their social media, and it's their team leader's goal to drive the direction and the messaging and the goals for their account. And other people who are on this call, same thing. You want to drive the goals and make sure that whoever's doing it is meeting those goals and objectives. So it said, understood, Sandy, as the owner, your role in steering the vision and strategy is crucial. And then it says, here are some areas to consider, blah, blah, blah. This actually does give you things, though, that you might not have considered. I didn't ask it for this, but in my custom instruction, so I'm going to try to tie this back to you guys. I said I wanted more robust responses. If I had not said I wanted more robust and detailed responses, it probably would have given me something much shorter. But I want the more robust responses because I want it to just naturally help me. So defining clear objectives, target audience analysis, competitive analysis, content strategy, platform strategies, analytics, trends, feedback, resource allocation, brand voice and messaging. So high level leadership type stuff and the details of the kind of things that I should be looking at. So what I did then is I uploaded some screen grabs. This is key because I wanted you to see that it can analyze screen grabs. So I took screen grabs from our Facebook account, and then I also gave it some data that it was able to copy and paste. So this is just the MSW page. So here's some data. So if you're a business owner and you're looking at results from your social media campaigns, you can give it this data. Your agency will report stuff to you, but sometimes when we give the numbers, it's hard to analyze how it's working. So I want to show you how you can use ChatGPT actually help analyze in your space how it works. So I said, here's some data. Given what you know about my industry and my target audience, so my target clients for MSW are small businesses from 1 to 15 million in revenue. How does the engagement look compared to our followers and audience? So I gave it all of that and it said, okay, analyzing the provided data, which specializes in digital marketing for small business, appears you have a follower count of 2577. Here's a breakdown. So it just spit back the numbers. Based on this, let's consider some industry benchmarks and insights. Post reach versus follower count. Your post reach is approximately 3.7 times your follower account, which is quite strong. This indicates your content's being seen by more than just your followers, suggesting good content distribution and possibly effective use of hashtags. Engagement rate can be calculated. It tells me how it calculated it. And it said both of these are good figures, with the latter being particularly strong as it suggests a high level of engagement from those who follow you. So, if you have a social media team working for your account, this is a great way to take whatever data they give you and go in and just analyze against your industry benchmarks and see you might not be able to come to these conclusions yourself. So, this is one way that you can leverage ChatGPT or AI to um, grow your business and see if what you're doing is actually working. This is interesting. New page likes and followers. So it says gaining 5 new likes and followers over a month might seem small, but organic growth on Facebook has slowed considerably. So it's not unusual. What's important is the quality of these followers and their potential for conversion into clients and advocates for your brands. So you can see here it goes into, in terms of strategy and vision, some things you should consider. So if you have an internal team or you're working with an agency, then maybe share these as some objectives with your agency partner or your internal team, and then see if you can grow even more as a result of some of the changes. So that's just one thread, and now it's going to remember this. And when I come back next month and bring my numbers in, it will have the old numbers and old recommendations, and then you can ask it to start comparing. Just one simple, easy use that most businesses doing social media can really benefit from. And it just takes a second to do. So I want to have you guys initially just take some notes, and please chime in because I would love to. This is our play space right now. So I want to try a couple of other things. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I already set this one up: financial strategy and analysis. So I'm just going to be super transparent here with you guys. Most of you are clients, and if you're not, it's fine. You're going to see our numbers. This is my financial analysis thread. So I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to give you my sales revenue figures by product and service for 2022 and 2023, and have you give me percent increase from those 2 years. From there, I want to look at strategies for growth to meet my 5-year business goals. Now, you can do this for your business as well. So I just went into and I could have just uploaded the documents, but I wanted to get it done fast. And it takes a little longer when you upload documents for it to analyze the numbers. If you copy and paste the numbers in, the return on ChatGPT is much faster. So here's 2022. So these are our revenue for the year in 2022, broken down by service. And here's our revenue by year, 2023, broken down by service. And what I wanted it to do was take our service areas and then calculate the percentage increase for each service. So our affiliate commissions decreased by 68%. Our content writing services increased by 104%. Graphic design decreased by 72%. Lead magnets and nurturing funnels decreased by 44%. Other services increase. Now, when I look at these numbers, this is not an exercise I naturally would have gone to, because our actual revenue was up this year by 5%, but I didn't break it down by the percentages of increase and decrease. This is important as a business owner because you can see where the trends are happening. In our case, we shifted our business model this year. So some of these increases and decreases are showing differently because of our business model shift. So our content writing increasing by 104% is because we're now including content writing in all of our web packages. And we've changed our packages. Our web design is down, our hosting is up, our SEO increased, our lead magnets decreased, but they really didn't. Now they're bundled under content writing. But these are all things that you really wouldn't pay attention to unless you could quickly come in, put the numbers into this application, just have it spit it right back out. And so then it said to focus on strategies for growth to meet your 5-year goals, considering these changes you might. And then it gives me some pretty good suggestions that I could sit with my team and analyze what we want to do because obviously we want to grow. We don't want things to pull back. Now, they did intentionally pull back a little bit this year because of our business model shift, and we weren't really marketing because we were trying to shift and contain, but now we're poised for big growth. So now I'm asking it to say, okay, here we are, we're ready to go, let's go. And it's giving me some things to do or some ideas. Then I was like, okay, what is our percent increase? That was just me being lazy because I didn't want to calculate. Just put it in here. It told me 5%. And now you're like, okay. So I know that our revenue increased by almost 6%, 2022 to 2023. Now, knowing what our goals are, can you help me come up with a plan to actually achieve our big, hairy goal in the time that we've set? So it's giving me some really good ideas to sit with my team and talk about. And then, okay, let's be realistic. Let's look at the numbers. So let's see, let me find it here. Content performance, right? Feedback loop, scalability, financial forecasting. Okay. Between the scalability planning and financial forecasting, I prompted it and I said, okay, let's look at the numbers because that's a pretty ambitious goal. And it sure is. And I said, can you break it out? So it told me how to determine the compound annual growth rate, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but give me the actual numbers. I was looking for something a little more in detail. It actually broke down. Okay, if we want to meet this goal, here's what you're going to have to do. So now I can sit with the team and I'm like, are we actually capable of this or not? Should we scale it back or should we really hit the gas pedal and go for this? So in your financial and strategy thread, this is the kind of stuff that you can talk to ChatGPT about and get ideas. This is different than my business ideation thread because this is all around financial. My business ideation thread is going to be just about all kinds of different stuff that pops into my head. But I want to keep my instruction and the clarity around my financial conversations with ChatGPT very focused on that. So it doesn't get confused because I can't remember. I shared it last month and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like 600,000 tokens is what it remembers in a thread before you have to start re educating it or start a new thread. So I want to keep things very focused, which is why the strategy of starting new threads, different threads for each area is going to be important. And I love this. It's okay. So here's some things to do to achieve the ambitious revenue targets that you have. Service line expansion. These become things now that we can delve in deeper as a team. Market expansion, sales and marketing scalability, operational efficiency, client retention and growth, innovation and technology, financial strategies, risk management, strategic partnerships, brand building, monitoring, and adjustment. So from here, we can really dive in and use ChatGPT and even maybe start different threads around each of these things that we're going to try to adopt in our business to grow the company like we want to grow it. So let me just pause here and see if you guys have any questions around what I'm saying and the direction I'm going with this. And just go ahead and speak. Unmute yourself. And 'cause I can only see four of you at a time over here on the side while I'm sharing my screen. In fact, let me just stop share because I can come back because I can see more of you at one time. I can remember how to stop share. There we go. Okay. Anyone have questions around any of that? Chris, you can't unmute. Really is illustrating.
Now we got it. Yeah, it kept
Okay.
no one could unmute.
I don't know why. Okay. Let's see. So can you talk
Yeah,
now, Chris?
yeah, can you
Okay. Yeah. Did you have a question?
No, I was just saying that's probably why because no one can unmute. That's what it was saying, hostess. I was
I
like,
don't know how to fix that. Okay. If you have a question, put it in the chat. Mark will help me out.
they
Otherwise,
might be
I'm going
able
to share my screen.
they might
Sandy,
be
you
able
let me unmute now.
okay, now it's doing it. Whatever
I
you
did.
did just
Okay.
fixed it.
All
Yep.
right. Let's try it. It's just real time stuff. It's what happens. It's okay. All right. No questions? Or Jay, do you have a question? I see you moving. You can't unmute. Okay. Put
There it
it
is.
in the,
There it is. You hear me now?
okay.
You hear me now?
I can hear you, Jay. Yep.
Okay.
I guess I'm just blown away with what you're doing. I yeah. To get to your financial information, you pulled in information for 22 and 23. You just type it in and you can ask it to compare what you're doing based on your size and see how you're doing compared to other. I know and things that Mike I've learned from Mike compared to what you're see how your numbers compare to other companies based on your
Mhm.
size. Are you even there? What are you doing? I'll be honest with you, I'm just blown away with what you're doing. That it can.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just like
super
you're sitting there
powerful.
talking. Like, and I
Yeah.
mean, I know this kind of stuff existed. I'm sorry, I'm probably past the age of being able to comprehend this kind of stuff. But I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I don't think most people do, honestly. I don't think they understand what AI is capable of helping us with in our businesses. And Greg, I'm sure you have some thoughts around this because Greg Eckler, who's on this call, is actually my business coach, my real life business coach. And we have been talking AI all year long, and he's been diving in just as much as I have. Greg, do you have any thoughts around what Jay just shared?
I think there's a lot here. I want you to send me the chat actually so I can see the questions you're asking. But do you like copying and pasting key numbers, or are you uploading like a QuickBooks Excel or a P&L or something to get it more comprehensive?
Yeah. So you can upload. So two things that I've discovered. If you upload, so I'm just going to use QuickBooks because that's what we use, QBO, and in my agency. And I tried uploading a PDF. So I uploaded a PDF of my P&L for 2022, a PDF of my P&L for 2023, and it is capable of analyzing the data that way, but it takes much longer because it has to extract the characters and convert them to numbers and then do the data analysis. But you can do it. It just takes longer. So you have to be patient. The other way to do it is to export the full P&L in an Excel file, and the data analysis is faster. But in this particular case, I had my full P&L. So it had all of the revenue, it had all of the expenses, it had the cost of goods sold, it had all the stuff in it. And so it was taking longer to drill down to the very specific thing that I asked for. And I don't really understand or know how their algorithm works, but it was just taking a while. I literally did this morning so that everything was fresh and accurate. And I'm just like, okay, pause that because it's taking a bit of time. And then I just copied and pasted those numbers right from the P&L and it did it instantaneously. I think it's really depends on what you're looking for it to do. I can see if I wasn't constrained by time trying to get this data in here ahead of this webinar, then I would have just let it run its full analysis on the Excel version of the P&L. And then I did the same thing when I switched back to screen share. I'll show you. I did that also for my cost of goods sold. And a couple of things the nice thing is because like your accountant, their job is to give you the books and to see high level trends. But when you take the numbers in and there's anomalies that ChatGPT brings out as an example, our content writing was up 104%, but our web design was down 5% and our overall revenue was up 6%. That's an anomaly. I understand that anomaly in my business for this year because we started including content writing in all of our services as a bundle. But what it brings to my attention that I probably wouldn't have caught otherwise is that we probably have some of our service invoicing miscategorized. Right? I don't think that all of that 104% growth in content writing belongs there. Some of that belongs in our funnels and nurturing funnels. So I now am aware to go back and look at the data in my QBO and recategorize it, which I wouldn't have caught otherwise until probably long after the fact. Does that make sense?
No, totally. I love that. I think bad in, not bad, but bad in, bad out. So you drew attention to the bad in maybe, or then you're like, you circle back to the accounting question. And then when that gets cleaned up or not, depending on where you want to go with it, then you do this again, and then you see better output because you have better input. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will share one other anomaly that I discovered. because I exported my P&L for 2022 and 2023 this morning. And I told you I did it as a PDF, and I also did it as an Excel sheet. The first time I uploaded the Excel sheet, it came back and it had zeros and everything in ChatGPT. So I could analyze the growth, but there hasn't been any because they're all zeros. I'm like, what? So then I went back to the spreadsheet and I looked, and it was all zeros. And so I got on chat with QBO, and I'm like, why are my exports showing zeros? And they said, you have to, when you open the Excel spreadsheet, you have to make it editable and the data will appear. So if you are exporting QBO stuff for analysis, make sure you open it before you upload it to ChatGPT and enable it so that it's editable. And then ChatGPT will be able to read the numbers. I had no idea. So I literally just learned that this morning.
And maybe even when you're doing it, I know QBO exports can be pretty nutty to just isolate the revenue stuff and delete the rest. So it's, or just clean it up a little bit and there's merged cells and all kinds of nonsense. Yeah. I think that might be maybe
Yeah.
better than copy pasting, but still better than, or still more efficient than a full export of all the junk that you don't want in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I will, are there any other questions before I continue? And put it in the chat if you can't unmute yourself, and Mark will shoot it over to me. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Mark, just shoot it over and I'll jump in on it if, when I see it. Okay. Two for sure that I think every business wants to have is your business ideation thread. That's where you just throw things around, financial strategy and analysis. And then if you're doing social media, this is a great one to set up. Another one that you can set up, I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to click on new chat. And if you weren't on last month's call, always make sure you're in ChatGPT 4, not 3.5. One thing I have noticed is that it tends to default to ChatGPT 3.5, even if you paid for the upgrade when you first start a new chat. And I'm going to assume that's because they want to conserve resources, bandwidth, in other words. But you change to ChatGPT 4 if you have upgraded. ChatGPT 4 gives you the ability to use Dolly, which is images, data analysis, and web browsing. All right, so I'm on ChatGPT 4. I'm going to now set up some other threads. So from my document, I'm going to say this is my market research and analysis thread. So now it's going to create this new thread for me. And again, here, since I have instructed it in my global instructions, my custom instructions, to give me more instead of less, it's giving me some description on specific questions around areas I'm focusing on, industry trends, competitor analysis, customer insights, or anything else. So I'm just going to, for fun, just to say, okay, let's explore some industry trends in the digital marketing space for 2024. Include thoughts around impact of AI on our industry and forecasted changes in SEO. So if I'm an agency owner, which I am, these are all things on my mind. I've just started this thread. I'll continue this thread for market research and analysis, but this seems like a reasonable question to ask in my preparations for what we're going to be doing in 2024. So let's just see what it comes up with. It's connecting to Bing. It's doing the search, and what it's going to do is look at what happens to come up, and then it's going to pull the data together and give me a full answer, as opposed to like when we go to search, and we have to go look at 5 different sites and read 5 different articles. So it's synthesizing all that data. So it's nice here, and this is probably tech jargon to a lot of you, but SEO trends, that's a big one for us because AI is really going to impact how SEO works. You can see here, I could have done that research just by going to Google on my own, but it takes a lot longer than to just do it right here. That is going to impact your industry too. In other words, we foresee Google search changing completely. Where you're ranking now, how people are going to your website from search is going to change completely because of AI. Because people inherently are lazy. And if they can come get the results they need from a simple search in ChatGPT, they're not going to go to Google and look at the top 5 listings because it's always been the goal for businesses to be in the top 5 listings. Now, businesses want to be one of the resources that ChatGPT leans on to pull data and then returns it. So you can see these little quotes. These will take you to the websites that it gleaned the information from. So what that means for you and your website is that your websites need to be more robust. They need to provide deeper, more in-depth answers, more robust answers. Your websites need to answer questions that people are asking around your industry, and then you will become part of these searches that are returned. And this is just literally a change in the past 8 months, but it's going to impact businesses like you guys big time. So this is the kind of market research that you can do. You can also dive into specific industries, competitors, all that stuff. I actually am going to start a thread. I'm not one to look at my direct competitors. I'm one to look at our competitors in the space where we want to be. So I can see what they're doing, what they're offering. So we can elevate what we're doing to get to that point. So I'm going to start another thread of competitor analysis. So this is my competitor analysis thread. So I'm going to keep that simple. So it'll name it competitor analysis. Now I'm going to assume that it's going to assume that I'm going to be looking at people who are in direct competition with me. That's looking backwards in my mind. I want to look at people who are achieving things that we have yet to achieve. So I'm going to train it. I want to use this thread to look in depth at leaders in my industry. What they're offering, what marketing strategies they're using, and what networking they do. So we'll just simple prompt, and then we'll see if we want to dive deeper on that prompt. Okay, so it's doing not what I intended it to do, but it's telling me how to do it. I've noticed in the past several months that ChatGPT does this. In fact, I've seen some threads in my industry that people are like, is ChatGPT getting lazy? Because what I really want it to do is go look at this stuff for me. I don't want it to tell me how to do it. If I wanted to know how to do it, I wouldn't have come to ChatGPT in the first place. Humans are inherently lazy, right? So I'm going to let it do its thing. This is great. It's good information to have, but I really want it to go and do the research for me. So I just have to prompt it differently. So doing this in real time is cool. So you can see what my thought process is like. Now I'm going to share, let's let it finish because I can't do it until it's done. So Mark, who is on the call, he's one of my team members. His son actually showed me this like, last week when we hired him as an intern. I had no idea that you could do this. So you can actually come to a thread and you can edit it instead of retyping. So I'm like, okay, I want this thread to look and in-depth leaders in my industry. Okay, so I want this thread to look in depth at leaders in my industry. Specifically, I want you to identify 5 of these companies and tell me what their service offering is, how they are marketing, and where they are networking. Save and submit. So I didn't have to start over. Mark, tell Lucas thank you. Okay, so let's see what it comes back with differently. Okay, so here we go. Now it's actually giving me what I intended in the first place. It's telling me there's a company called Smart Sites, Socially In. These are classified as leading digital agencies. Mark, try to unmute now. I just,
Okay. Got it.
okay, perfect. These are model agencies in the space, obviously much bigger than us because that's what I asked for. That's what we aspire to be. So those are the companies that I'm going to look at. How would you use this in your business from a competitor analysis side to gain insights on what they're doing? And again, I'm not a fan of looking at even or lower competitors, but looking at the higher level competitors. Another one that's a good thread for business owners and managers to start is employee training and development. Wish I could type training and develop thread. Okay. So now this thread is going to focus only on employee training and development. As soon as it's done with its thing, again, I'm just going to reiterate it's giving me this much because I asked for it to give me a lot of detail. It would not give me this much if I hadn't put that in my global settings, that I wanted more than less. So let's just see what happens here. Okay. So yesterday, Amanda Rowden, who is one of my team members, she is my web services director, does most of our website design. And I talked with her about working with Mark, who is our website update person, to bring Mark along and train Mark more in design from the ground up. And then I told Amanda that we want to create a plan for her to develop into beyond website stuff, more business leadership and things like that. So let's just test. I have no idea what's going to come up, but I'm going to say I want to create a training plan for Mark. All right, my web services, and I'm just going to tell it, my web services director, Amanda, and I'm just going to put Amanda's name in here because it'll reference Amanda then, has been tasked to train Mark and or give him resources to learn WordPress more deeply. He currently does updates to sites. So he has moderate skill set right now. We want him to become a designer over the course of the next 12 months. Can you help with a training plan to get him there while still allocating time in his 40-hour schedule for the work he already does for our client? All right, let's see what it comes up with. All right. Oh, I love this. Task for Amanda. Amanda, are you taking notes?
Can you just copy and
Identify
paste?
Mark's current skill level, use assessments or tasks to gauge his understanding, define learning objectives. You guys, this is such good stuff. And consider how you can use this in your business with the people who are doing certain tasks for you. My goal and in our conversation at Amanda's performance review yesterday was I have this big, hairy goal for the agency. We are not manned right now to accommodate that. So the only way to accomplish that goal is to skill up our existing people so we can bring in more people under them. And so this is part of the whole big plan. So instead of me having to sit and spend hours racking my brain, this is awesome. Now, we could probe even more deeply into each of these to come up with a training plan over the next 12 months for Mark. So, this is just really cool to me. I get excited about this stuff. Let's do one more, and then I'm going to take you over to Tango. And I will send you guys this whole list but I want to just address things that I know are relevant to all businesses. Oh, here's one. Legal document drafting and analysis. So I'm going to start another thread. This is my legal document drafting. I'm going to call it legal document drafting and analysis thread. Okay. Okay. So I have done this in my other accounts. If someone sends me a contract for a service that I am signing up for, I actually run the contract through ChatGPT to analyze where there might be things that because who reads the whole contract, right? So I actually ask it to look at the contract, see if there are gaps in it, things that don't, work in my favor or are weighted in somebody else's favor. You can ask it to look at anything you'd like. I have also had it analyze our contract, which of course has been attorney reviewed and all that stuff. But I run it through ChatGPT to see what it comes up with as far as recommendations, gaps we might want to fill. But let's just say I want to draft a non-compete agreement. I need to have a non-compete agreement for the state of Missouri, because that's where I'm at. That covers, let's say, a 50-mile radius from my legal business address with zip code 65049 for 1 year. Can you help? So it just is drafting one for me. So I can go in, I can copy this into Word, I can edit it, and I can send it to my attorney to review, which is a whole heck of a lot cheaper than having them draft one for me from scratch. Think of things that you need contract review for, contracts you need to write, agreements with employees that you need to create. I would even run probably just trying to think of some instances in my agency because we've got non-compete, we've got non-disclose because we have several clients that don't want us to disclose that they're clients for privacy reasons. Anything that you do legal document wise in your business, you can stick to this thread. So now this thread is going to remember, number one, that I'm in Missouri, that my legal address for the company is 65049 zip code. So again, another reason why you want to have individual threads for each aspect that you're going to use ChatGPT for. So we've got legal, employee training, competitor analysis, market research, financial, business ideation. very specific thing to my company, the Profitable Entrepreneur Podcast, and then social media marketing analytics. You could also do one real quick. Let's say this is my risk management thread. All right. So I'm just going to show you another quick thing, and I'll use my industry as an example in how we can get it to create something that we can use internally. Okay, so it says including financial risks, operational risks, market risks, and any other areas of concern. What I love about this is when I was thinking risk management, I was not thinking at all around financial risk and market risk. I was thinking in terms of, as a digital marketing agency, we create a lot of content, including text and images. Let's say, can you create a checklist for us to give us things to look out for to avoid copyright issues? So probably not greatly worded, but we can refine. So let's just see what it comes up with. Okay, so it's going to come up with a simple checklist. And this is something that I could give to my team and integrate into our internal processes before stuff is published. Literally, you watched me do this in, I don't know, 2 minutes by the time it's all said and done, as opposed to the couple hours, 2, 3 hours that it might take to actually create a full checklist from scratch, and probably be far less robust and complete than the one that it's creating for me. Hopefully, this demonstration just gives you an idea, it gets the brain stirring a little bit about how you can leverage AI, ChatGPT specifically, in your business to help you accomplish things more efficiently. And I think that based on the way you train it, more thoroughly as well. And again, if you don't train it and you don't do the custom instructions and be very specific about what you want, you're going to get crap a lot of times. But this is the difference between when you come to things like this and learn from people who have been using it for the whole entire year that it's been out versus just diving in and starting yourself from scratch. So hopefully that's really helpful. And I will make sure that you guys get the document I created that has a full, I think 22, but there's even more. We'll just continue adding to this. I'll put it on a Google Drive. Um, and then you just start building these that make sense for your company. Now, one thing that I teased in my email when I invited you back to this webinar is that ChatGPT literally 2 days ago, so that's how fast things change. It came out with this thing. So we have the upgraded plan that's $20 a month, which gives you the Dolly and the web access. But now you can upgrade your plan even more. So I'm going to click on that. And now you can actually have a plan for your team. So my business director manager, Cheryl, who's on this call, I could give her access to this full section for the business by adding her. It's $25 per person per month. And so anyone on my team, I could give access to this. And what I really find fascinating about this is that now they've introduced the idea of no training on your data, because there have been privacy concerns around from companies when you upload stuff. The ChatGPT has made no secret about the fact that it uses your data to train itself. It's not that it provides it to other users, but it becomes part of the aggregate set of data that ChatGPT uses as it's training itself. But now, if you upgrade to this, it's no training on your data. So that's fascinating. That's a new thing. But I love this idea. If you have a team of people that you want to share, and I'll just call it your business operations ChatGPT, so that you guys are all on the same page with the goals. You're leveraging ChatGPT with the same foundational custom instructions around your goals. And it really isn't that pricey to have this. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. So before I go into Tango, I'm going to stop sharing again and see if there are any questions. And if you're not on video, I can't see you. Start your video, and if you raise your hand, I can see you. Or put in the chat that you want to be unmuted so you can ask a question. And looks like I can control the muting on my side. Any questions? Okay, what'd you think? Wasn't that awesome? The potential of AI in transforming our business operations is astounding to me. It takes my breath away when I think about where we're really headed. It's a little scary, sure, but you want to be on leaning in to this kind of technology in your business in all areas because it's not going anywhere. It's going to become more pervasive, more prevalent. And think of kids today, your future employees, they're growing up with it. They're not going to know a world without it. As we wrap up the inaugural episode of Your Marketing Strategy Elevated, I have 2 invitations for you. First, I invite you to join me live every second Thursday of the month at noon Central for our 90-minute Marketing and AI Mastery webinar. It's a great opportunity to be part of a community of really diverse business owners. Some of them are clients, some of them are not. You don't have to be a client to join in, but they're all eager to integrate AI into their business operations. It's really not just a webinar, it's a collaborative workshop where we learn, grow, and innovate together. The second invitation is I want to invite you to a 45-minute marketing strategy call with me. Whether you're new to digital marketing or even a seasoned veteran, I'll bring over 25 years of my experience to the table for you, one-on-one over Zoom. We'll discuss your current strategies, and I'll share insights from my perspective on what you can improve, continue, or stop to boost your marketing results. The best part, we'll record it because we'll be on Zoom, and then we'll feature it in this show, giving you some fantastic exposure and providing valuable learning for our audience too. So there's really nothing to lose. Get on Zoom with me. We'll record it. You'll learn something. I'll provide some insights, and you'll get to share your business with whoever watches the channel. So to book your spot or join in our webinar, simply reach out to me directly at sandy@mswinteractivedesigns.com or visit our website at mswinteractivedesigns.com. And let's elevate your marketing strategy together. Thank you for tuning in to our first episode. Here's to many more where we share, learn, and grow together. Remember, in the world of digital marketing for small business, there's always a higher level to reach, and together we'll get there. Until next time, this is Sandy Waggett signing off from Your Marketing Strategy Elevated. Thanks for joining me.